Did someone call a doctor? We are still in the back of my Mustang, just chilling here. Actually, it's not chilly at all. It's like a cool 92 degrees now. Well, I'll be finishing up the mounting right behind me. Got it almost done yesterday, but I've got some more stuff just to kind of mount up. And then I'm going to be taking off the door panels. Nothing like having the right tool for the job. I have got this little ratcheting screwdriver thing I bought last year from Harbor Freight, and it has saved my butt on multiple occasions. There's not a lot of clearance here, so it just made the job so much easier, and I didn't even poke a hole through my speaker. Door panels are always a little bit tricky. It's super easy to break old brittle plastic pieces. So a word of advice, take your time, go slow, try to find a YouTube video that kind of shows the tips and tricks, because usually there's some kind of hidden screw or something that's holding these suckers on. These guys are fairly simple. There's just 2 screws behind this little handle bezel thing, and then there's a few plastic fasteners, like rivets, holding it in, and then you just kind of pop those out. You do have to take this little tweeter bracket off, take that screw out, but then once that's out, you just lift the door ever so gently and it comes right out. And I was lucky I didn't actually break anything this time, so that's always a plus. I have to prepare these wires for the tweeters before I install them. Man, I lose track of the game plan. I deviate from the game plan, and then that's what sets me back. So let's just do these. Preparation is everything. I love prepping things. And yeah, just getting these tweeter wires ready to go. And lo and behold, what happens next? Oh, doggy. Sweet doggy. Got hair all over my stuff, but it's okay. This girl just wanted to say hello. Or boy. Nice doggy. Anyways, back to business. Did it! I knew that feeding the wires from the door panels through the body, through this little tunnel, was going to be less than enjoyable. But I made a little makeshift like rod, and I put a lot of tape on it, and I shoved it and I pulled it and I wiggled it, and I ended up getting it through. So the first side was a little bit harder, but it did go through. The second side, with a little experience under my belt, was a wee bit easier, and I didn't break anything. I didn't, cut anything that I shouldn't have. And I think that I cleaned them up pretty nicely, tucked everything away, used a lot of zip ties. I stuck up in zip ties every single time I go to Harbor Freight. Okay, the passenger side, about to wire it up. Our RCAs have to go in too before I route these. I'm going to get my RCAs and we'll route them all together, because that's the logical thing to do. As my brother-in-law would say, it's logic. Logic. Sometimes having fun is more important than logic, right? Let's get those RCAs. Alright. It is solely thanks to the tips and tricks and great advice that I received from everybody on like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube that I ran my RCAs on a separate side as my power cables. I would never have known to do that, but I did thanks to you. So thank you so much for saving me time and heartache.
Hello! It's another day. So I made a lot of progress yesterday running my RCA cables from the front to the back, and so a couple things. I need to make a custom little bracket for my tweeters to fit in my door panels, and I also need to figure out how I'm going to wire everything to my head unit, because the back looks a little bit not what I was expecting. And then I'm going to have to mount my subwoofer amp in the back and then route some other cables. I feel like the beast of the job is kind of behind me right now, the audio install at least. Don't forget, I'm still redoing all of my interior, so I've got that to do. But let's go ahead and get started.
I already knew I was going to mount the main amp in the center, and then the little amp for the subwoofer was going to go on either side. It still required some makeshift like bracket things and some rubber grommets, but I think I found a nice little spot for it. Definitely not a fun install, but it's going to work right here. Kind of, not there, don't look there. Down.
I found it. I found where I'm going to mount it.
Boy oh boy, talk about plug and play. These front lower door panel speakers fit perfectly, the wires were the perfect length, everything was just amazing with this one piece of task from this big job. And they look fantastic, they're going to clear the door panels, very satisfied with how they came out. And it even came with this little foam tape that I decided to use. So yeah, this was like the dessert course of the job.
Alright, this is the back of the unit. There's the red and the white ones, and I'm assuming that's where the RCAs plug into, but again, I don't really know. And then this thing is where a harness was, which looks like is where I would splice the blue remote into. Anyways, you know, it's kind of the least of my worries, but I think in a couple days I'm going to be able to wire everything up. It's going to be tragic if I can't. Thanks. So, I must have been having like a heat stroke or some kind of a brain malfunction that day. This day it just started on the path of stupidity for me. I had 6 RCA connections. Okay, 6. I had a red, a green, a gray, a blue, a white, and I think a yellow. So I had 6. When I looked on the back of my head unit, there were 3 reds and 3 whites. And my goodness, I could not do basic math. I was so confused about this. I reached out to one of my friends on Instagram who does audio, and I was like, I only have 6 connections, but I've got 6 wires. The math wasn't mathing, and I'm sure he probably thought I was like smoking crack. I even went as far as to go to the audio store in my neighborhood. By the way, amazing place. I forget the name of it, but I'll list it in the description. So I go in, I talk to this guy, and he's so sweet, so helpful. You could tell he wants to help me, and he's looking at me like I'm probably sweating and look desperate. So I'm telling him that I've got 4 RCAs for the the main 4-channel amp, and then I've got 2 RCAs for the subwoofer amp. So total 6. Okay, and I'm explaining I've got 6 connectors, and I've only got X amount of holes. And he's like, yeah, the 6 connectors go into these holes. And I'm like, no, I don't have enough holes. And I'm insisting that I don't have enough holes. So I go to my phone to pull up a photo of the head unit. I show it to him, and at that moment, as I'm showing him, I'm like, oh my God. Like, why did this not click? This is it. 6 and 6 going to 6. Even looking at it now, watching this video, I'm like, it didn't look like enough. So anyways, he helped me a lot. He explained where everything was going to go and how I was going to connect my remote wire. And then I was looking for a piece of plastic, and he had the perfect piece of plastic. And then I had an impulse buy, and I bought some extra sound deadening mats. So it was all in all a good trip, and it was really cool because I saw some amazing setups on the different audio that they have in the displays. Very inspiring, but again, he was so nice.
Okay, let's talk about these brackets. I was really proud of myself, so I'm gonna go start to finish. First of all, the reason I needed to make these brackets is because the tweeter is substantially smaller than where I'm putting it. And there were no brackets or anything like that included with the tweeters. And I couldn't buy tweeters that were the same size as the originals, which left me with, of course, creating my own little bracket. So the most exciting thing of the week was finding this perfect piece of plastic. And I used the old tweeter as a template, draw in exactly where I'm going to cut, take out my Dremel, load it up with the perfect little saw tool, and within the first 3 seconds it breaks, the saw tool flies away from me, and I've got to replace it with a less than perfect larger saw tool. The odd thing about this, the whole time I'm cutting this plastic, it smelled like fish, like gross fish, like a bad bathroom fish smell. It was really disgusting. And these little shavings, they got everywhere. But they look rough when you look up close, but they actually came out perfect for the job. So I cleaned them up, sand them off, and then I needed to draw the middle holes, obviously. And I remember I bought this kit from Harbor Freight to drill big holes into plastic. Well, I put it somewhere safe. Safe meaning I shall never find it again. So again, I went down the path of stupidity and I started drilling little holes and then getting a little bit bigger. By the time I got to the largest drill bit that I had, which was only the size of a pinky finger, it started like moving the plastic away. I got out my vise, I got out my shoe, and eventually I got it out and I attacked it with a Dremel and I got my little hole. But the kicker was, later that day I found the kit in the safe place. So no big deal, because there's going to be a little screen that goes over these tweeters, so you'll never see it. But I mean, it's not so bad. It's definitely like a good tight fit, and that's all we can ask for, right?
The amp is going to mount under here.
This sucker in was less than fun. Just drilling, trying to drill into this, this metal. It was hard. It was definitely hard. And then the awkward position that I was in, trying to mount this up. I tried different positions. I tried using my legs. I tried using my knees. I even curled up into a ball at one point. I used a box as a pillow. Eventually, I got it done, and it came out pretty darn nice.
This is, my arm hurts. I don't know how long I can actually keep holding this drill up to do this. I'm getting pretty fatigued. I might have to take a break for like a while.
day and a brand new week actually. So I have to still get the little forky things to go into the amp back there. I'm gonna go to Ace, I'm gonna get those, check out, I don't know, what else they might have there that I don't need, and we can get started. Yay! See? There it is. It's not bad. It looks good. Again, it's going to have a screen over it. You'll never see it. So before I go any further, I want to add the sound deadening mat to the doors, and man, this stuff made a difference. The door felt like cheap and rattly before, like probably one of the cheapest, most rattly doors I've ever felt. And after all was said and done, the door had some like weight to it. The door meant business. Like you close it, it's like a thump instead of like a, you know. I added it in every little crevice that I could. I rolled it down nice and tight, and it helped so much. I'm actually going to be adding this sound deadening mat to the roof, to the floor, you know, wherever I can. It's amazing. And this is the good stuff that I bought. I also got some like bargain stuff off of Amazon, but it should work just as fine. It took me like a week to find these little connectors, an 8-gauge connector, like forky thingy. Eventually I got some tips off of Instagram to order these. I think they were called like Fierce something or other, but they're perfect. They came in the mail, so I'll be replacing those before I assemble everything back together. Wiring this up and setting the gains and all that stuff, I did the best that I can. I'm sure it would benefit from an adjustment, but whew, I got it. I couldn't believe it when this thing started making sound. You won't believe it either.
Cruising down the street in my 6'4", jocking the flicks, clocking the door. Went to the park to get the school. Knuckleheads out there, coat shoes and boots. A car pulls up, who can a fresh El Camino rolling through. We roll down this window and it starts to say, it's all about making that GT.
My intention was to allow you to listen to the music from outside, but the car is so loud you can't hear anything. It's completely lost, so I had a really hard time showing you all how it sounds. I am beyond stoked. It sounds so good, and it's only going to sound better once I get all the panels and everything added back into the car. But right now, look at all that space for activity. Woohoo, look at that. Thank you so much for watching this journey, and honestly, like, I cannot wait to start audio on my next car. I've got the Corvette audio, which is like does not even work, and then I've got the Camaro, which is hanging on by a thread. So I don't know, what do you think? Corvette, Camaro? Kind of thinking Corvette, mix it up. But alright, thank you for watching. Bye.